everybody. It's great to see you today. Welcome to Living Power, your online Bible study where we are walking through the Bible in a year. Today is July 8th, and we are studying some of the Psalms that are so beautiful and prophetic in nature. I'm really excited to be able to walk through this section of the Bible with you today. Yesterday, we introduced the concept of the enthronement Psalms, which just simply mean that they are Psalms that are prophetic in nature that describe the time period when Jesus will be enthroned as King of Kings and Lord of Lords. Today, starting with Psalm 98, this is another one, as is Psalm 99. Now, Psalm 98 not only is about the millennial period. As you read it, you'll see, but it's also about the second coming, because it talks about the defeat of the Lord's enemies in verse 1. The last battle, the last stand, the Battle of Armageddon, when Israel calls out to the name of the Lord to save them, and he comes in an instant. Verse 1, sing a new song to the Lord, for he has done wonderful deeds. His right hand has won a mighty victory. His holy arm has shown his saving power. This, of course, will be at the end of the tribulation period, the 7-year period, and it will conclude the Great Tribulation period, which is a smaller segment of time at the end of this 7-year period when things get really bad, and it ushers in a transition. We talked a little bit about Pangea yesterday, how the Lord will kind of change the topology of the earth, and then he ushers in his 1,000 years of peace. He will also exalt Israel, and Israel will be a most blessed nation during this time period. That's in verse 3, and it says that he comes to judge in fairness. So he has a lot of purposes for coming. It's not just to save his people only, even though that is a very worthy reason to come, but he is going to set up a rule that will be just and fair. And this is in verse 9. Now, Psalm 99 also describes the millennial rule, and I love how it gives us more details. Here it tells us that his capital will be Jerusalem, the city that he loves, Jerusalem. And it says again, he will rule in justice and fairness. And in verse 9, that many will come to worship in Jerusalem. I've always wondered, do you think we will actually travel in the millennial period? Do you think we'll actually travel to Jerusalem? Would you want to? I would want to. I would want to go and see Jesus and just see the whole capital city. I think that I'm going to definitely put that on my list of must-dos. Now, Psalm 100 is we're going to kind of change gears just a little bit. I'm not going to say it goes downhill from here because we're going to talk about God, but I know that the prophetic stuff is just so interesting to me. I believe it is to you as well. Many of you tell me that you just love the details and the imagery that we get into about the second coming and the millennial period. But Psalm 99 kind of ends those enthronement psalms. Psalm 100 is just a sweet psalm about thanksgiving and having a heart to be thankful for the blessings that God gives us. Psalm 102 is a prayer of someone overwhelmed with trouble, and he's pouring out his heart to God. It looks like he's got some problems, or she has some problems. Can't sleep, doesn't have an appetite, maybe a little bit malnourished, and maybe a little bit bothered mentally. And here's where we get to change focus just a little bit to think about the attributes of the Lord. A lot of times the Psalms teach us things about God, what he's like, what he thinks about. And in this psalm, we learn about the help that God provides. He helps the destitute. He helps the prisoner. He helps the person who's condemned. And it's almost like the psalmist in Psalm 102 is saying, yep, I qualify. I qualify for your help. I'm poor. I'm down and out. I am at my wit's end. I have no one else but you. And I don't know, I've read this psalm many times, but this year I'm thinking to myself, maybe the psalmist in a way is trying to find a way to get God's attention and to qualify. I don't know. That's kind of a sweet way of looking at that. If we look at Psalm 104, we can see not only attributes of God, but I like to call it the resume of God. If you were interviewing gods and you wanted the most powerful God to be your God, and this was the resume that a God presented to you, would you be impressed? Well, let's take a look at the resume of our God. In Psalm 104, it says He has stretched out the heavens. It says He rides on the clouds and the wind. It says He placed the world on its foundations. That'll get our attention. Clothed the earth with water and put the seas and the streams in place. Made grass and food grow out of the earth. Feeds the wild animals every single day, feeds the birds and the squirrels. And He made the moon, and He tells the sun when to rise. Wow. I would say, God, you had me at hello. This is an amazing resume. But we can continue with verse 27. It says, they all depend on you. All these little animals, these little birds, the little squirrels, they depend on you to give them food as they need it. You know, in my backyard, I'm backed up to a wooded area. And every morning at 6:30, the birds wake me up and they're chirping. And they chirp and chirp and chirp, and they sing and they sing and they sing till about 7:15. Usually by 7:30, I don't hear them anymore. They've probably flown off in search of food. They get bigger and bigger every year. These are healthy birds with great singing voices. The squirrels are so plentiful. They are everywhere. They are very well fed. I'm not feeding them. I'm not putting bird food. I'm not putting squirrel food out there. The Lord is tending to them. And it just makes me remember, you know, sometimes we worry about where our provision's going to come from, and we worry about things that we just can't control. But this is a beautiful psalm that reminds us today that just as the Lord cares for these birds and these squirrels, how much more will He care for us? Because we mean more to Him than these creatures of the world, and He sees to it that they are well taken care of. How much more will He take care of us? And I love verse 31. May the glory of the Lord continue forever, and may He take pleasure in what He has made. I think when He looks out at the world, certainly in this little area in my backyard, where the roses are growing and the trees are lush and green, I think He takes pleasure in that. I think He takes pleasure when He hears the birds singing to Him in the morning at sunrise at 6:30, and the squirrels as they're very busy. Even the little ants, you can watch them. They are so busy working in formation, taking these little teeny pieces of whatever it is from one spot to the next. My prayer and my hope is that when the Lord looks at your life and He looks down from heaven into my life, that He can say that He takes pleasure in what He has made, and that He takes pleasure in what He sees. That's my prayer for you and for me today. Well, I hope this has been a blessing to you. I hope you'll continue to stay with me as we continue this summer looking at the verses and the chapters in the Bible. I pray that it's been a blessing to you. Until we meet again, Shalom.